Monthly marketing meeting. This month, of course, is April. I'm Sean Bailey, editor in chief at Horsesmouth. I'm here with Devin Crop. Devin, great to see you.
You too?
For those of you out there who are new to this, our monthly meetings tend to have three parts. The first part, we start with a broad topic relating to marketing that will be of interest to any financial advisor anywhere. In part two, we narrow our focus and start looking at specific things we have teed up for our master members and advisor client members, specific marketing activities to be doing in the month of April and to start planning for the month of May. We move in these kind of 8-week windows. And then the third part of our meeting is we answer a couple of marketing questions from members. So, Devin, it's April, and I see you have this portion of our meeting described as differentiating your value. What do we got?
So, recently, CEG Insights came out with a study they did of financial advisors about their value proposition and how they differentiate themselves from other advisors. And the data, I will say, or the answers in this survey are very similar to surveys we've seen in the past on this topic. And these are surveys that go back probably 10 years of, how do you differentiate yourself from other advisors? And the top two answers that advisors gave in this most recent survey, which are the same as surveys I've seen in the past, were number one, that they offer holistic financial planning, which at this point really doesn't mean much. And two, that they offer customer service. And those are the two most common differentiators that advisors report using in their marketing on their website as ways to separate themselves from other advisors. Now, I know we have our A plus students here with us, so I'm sure most people with us here today have a better value proposition than that. But just looking at the general statistics there, those two things really are not differentiators, right? If you are in the financial planning business, of course you're doing financial planning for your clients. And two, of course, if you're a business owner, you have customer service, right? You're offering, I'm sure there's some advisors out there who don't have great customer service, but if you're a good advisor, you have a level of customer service. So those two things to a prospect, that doesn't really tell them much, right? That doesn't How are they able to tell you apart from, two other advisors that they're considering when all of you are saying, I offer financial planning and I have good customer service. Like, that's just expected these days in the industry. And especially when we're talking about high net worth prospects and clients, they are looking for more than those two things. So the CEG insights went into, what are high net worth individuals looking for from advisors, and how can advisors better communicate what differentiates them from others in the crowd. And what they found of what high net worth individuals want is they want those specific service offerings. So instead of just saying you offer financial planning, they want to know that you can help them with tax planning. They want to know that you can help them with estate planning. And they want that spelled out right in front of them, that that is what you offer. Because when they're looking at your website and then two other websites, even because studies show even people who, get referrals from friends and family, they still check you out online, and they're usually are checking out two or three advisors at the same time. So you need to spell out on your website exactly what you are offering, and just saying financial planning or even just saying, quite honestly, retirement planning isn't enough anymore. It's way too broad, and you need to get more specific when it comes to the different areas that you help them with. Now, of course, everyone here with us today, you're, master members, advisor, client members, you know that we preach financial education here at Horse's Mouth, and you probably see yourself as a financial educator. If you follow our monthly marketing calendar that we're going to touch on later, you are sending out at least 12 pieces throughout the year touching on different financial topics. So you already offer these different services, right? We need to just make sure that that is clear on your website through how you're describing yourself, and also that you have specific pages on your website dedicated to those different services, that you have some sort of educational resource page where you're maybe keeping or posting these reprints that you're sending out every month, including handouts, blog posts that you write. We want to really shine the light on the education that you offer to clients and prospects, because your role as an educator can truly be one of the best ways to differentiate yourself in a crowd.
Yeah, I'm glad we're focusing on this topic this month because there is this problem of of the public feeling like, I go to any advisor's webpage, they all seem to be saying the same. We're all hearing that message. Now we have a survey where advisors are saying the things that their clients are saying, but they're thinking they're differentiating. And so, that's definitely not the result that we want. I just wanted to point out can't remember which big asset manager, but they did a study of industry jargon about 5 or 6 years ago, and they tested it out with the public. And they tested the word holistic, and holistic lands very badly in general with the public. And they recommended using the word comprehensive. You know, I'm a trailing edge baby boomer, and so the words holistic for me I tend to associate with, alternative medicine and that sort of thing. And so that's not really what we're looking for, even if you're in favor of alternative medicine. So something like comprehensive financial planning, much better kind of thing. But Devin, we were talking before about how, advisors actually you are different and you're walking the walk. But if you're not clear on how to express it either on your webpage or in your own individual, marketing pattern with people, then, you are doing a disservice to yourself. And so in terms of trying to think more specifically about the kinds of things that you offer and teasing those out, that will actually lead to a differentiation, right? And so when you're talking with high net worth families, it's not that you offer customer service, but that you may offer concierge level client service, right? Because I'm sure all of you do, you pick, especially for your tier A clients, which are going to be the high net worth or ultra high net worth, you are going to, I hope you're giving them, you know, almost concierge level, if not concierge level attention on a variety of financial planning matters. And so, that's something to keep in mind. The other thing is Debbie Taylor kind of addressed this issue partially in the navigation of her website. When the public comes to her website, they can see. Now she has changed her website a lot over the years, but I believe she still has an area where you can see and pull up the page, and you can see 7 or 8 major verticals under the umbrella of comprehensive planning that she delivers to her clients. And of course, your value proposition is when you have a strong value proposition, it's going to be much easier to defend or explain the value that you're delivering, especially when you have a prospect who's like, oh, 1%, I'm bringing you a $3 million account, 1%. Well, that's a lot of money. What am I going to be getting for that? Boom, you're right there. You've thought it through. People can see it on your website. It's being repeated in your interactions with people as well. So there's a variety of ways to think about how you convey the value proposition. And one other thing, Devin, we got onto the value proposition stuff with Chris Holman a few years ago. And, I think we kind of felt after talking to a lot of advisors that your value proposition, you're starting out in the business and you're brushing up on marketing and thinking about, referrals and how to talk about yourself. And that is when sometimes for the first time, advisors run into this whole notion of a value proposition. And people spend a little bit of time about it, thinking about it, and maybe do some exercises and try and think. And then kind of they get busy with life and their business, and years go by. Their business is successful enough, but they've not taken the opportunity to sort of step back and look at a critical eye and try and answer for themselves, what is my value proposition? And when people arrive at my website, which is so important on this issue, because we know referrals are big and people are going to be checking you out before they ever call you, looking at your website and saying, is my value proposition, coming through loud and clear? So I think that's, good stuff to keep in mind. Great topic for us to be discussing today.
Yeah, I think
So,
another thing I would add, because sometimes I think, and this is natural, we struggle with how do we put everything we do into this one value proposition that we're going to put somewhere, and how can we really make that representative of what we offer? And so I think some advisors, and I think this is a really good idea, they have an area on their website too where they talk about their process, how they work with clients. And that can be a great way to differentiate yourself as well, because you can go into a little bit more detail. You can talk about the technology that you use in your business, what the different service offerings you do throughout the year. And it might be a little bit easier to spell out those different value adds you have. If you're doing tax planning with clients at the end of the year, having that be a key item there, or your social security check-in or things like that, where you're doing these specific value add services with your clients and you want your clients to know about it, but you also want prospects who come to your website to understand how much thought you put into the process that each client goes through throughout the year. Can be another way to kind of demonstrate that value and not have to boil it down to a 3 or 4 sentence
Right.
value prop that you have on your homepage.
Yeah, and another topic that comes to mind, particularly for the high net worth, ultra high net worth, and not everybody has those kind of clients or has a lot of them, but when you do have them, sometimes issues like, philanthropic strategies, like setting up family trusts and all that sort of stuff is just another like little niche aspect of your value proposition. And if you do that, you shouldn't be hiding it or keeping it a secret. You want to, be able to put it out there so people can see that, oh, okay, well, I'm looking at 3 different advisors and that is an issue I have. It's not maybe it's a second tier, but I'm looking at 3 other advisors that all kind of seem alike. But I land on your page and say, okay, well, you're different. No one has said anything about philanthropy, and it is a particular issue, whatever the case may be. So good. Anything else on this front, Devin?
I would just add too that if for our master members and our advisor client members who are listening, we do have some campaigns in advisor client that I think if you're struggling with creating that value proposition or, coming up with the words to explain it, we have some campaigns that could help. One is a list of services graphic where you can actually take that and put it on your website and it kind of lists all the things that you do. So that can help you kind of think about the services that you offer and are you including those on your website and in your marketing. We also have a whole campaign on writing a value proposition and how you can go through that process. We have worksheets that will ask you questions that's going to help you boil down, those key parts of your story, your why story, and how that relates to your value prop. And then we also have something called the Storyteller's Toolkit, which again, this is more of like a brainstorm for you if you really, are looking at your current value proposition and saying, this is either old, I haven't touched it in years, it's not representative of what I do anymore, or it just needs some work. Sometimes part of that is brainstorming and thinking about your why story, but also client stories that you've helped. And so this toolkit will kind of walk you through the steps of how to organize those stories and turn them into some marketing collateral. So I just wanted to bring those up too for anyone who's interested in getting some help with this process because it can be hard. So that can
Yeah.
get you at least started.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that, Devin, because you know what my favorite topic is. And my favorite topic is trying to figure out how we can help advisors use AI in their business. And we're going to be announcing some new stuff later this spring. But what you just said about the value proposition and the worksheets that we have, we can take that and we can prompt the right AI model to act as an expert in helping advisors identify what the value proposition is, and we can reposition the questions that are inside that and turn it into a dialogue that would really help an advisor work that topic through. So I'm glad you brought that up because we can put that on our future agenda. All right, Devin. Now we're ready to move on to part 2, I think, right?
Yep.
And that is advisor, client, and master member specific marketing activities for April and May. So what do we got for April?
Yes, so I'm just going to share my screen here. This is our master member marketing calendar. We break each month out by theme and we give you client handouts and presentations that you can do each month that fit into that theme. So for April, we have Social Security is our theme here. And like I said, each month we give you a reprint, usually a handout, and then a webinar or a webinar workshop that you could put on for clients and prospects. So our reprint for the month of April is all about Social Security, Medicare, and HSAs. So this is what it looks like here. Goes through the different things people need to know about when you file for Social Security and you're signed up for Part A. What does that mean with an HSA? And kind of goes over some common questions that clients and prospects have. So this is here. We also have a web version of this reprint, so you can send out the web page of it too. And then, of course, for our workshop or webinar, we recommend our Savvy Social Security Planning for Boomers presentation. This is probably our most popular presentation. It still brings in a huge crowd for advisors who are doing it. So you might want to think about trying to throw on an event this month. It's actually Social Security Awareness Month in general. So your clients and prospects are probably seeing some stuff about Social Security in the news. For you to come in with a, presentation to really explain the differences in claiming strategies that they can be exposed to and become a good voice of truth and education when they might be seeing a lot of headlines out there that might be, misleading or not as comprehensive from an education standpoint that you can provide. You can really come in with a good voice to explain to them, what the different strategies are, and then, of course, offering that consultation for them to come in. You run the calculators for them, and you're the Social Security expert when they're seeing all this other noise in the media about Social Security and when to claim and all of that. So I think, if you don't have anything on the calendar, it's still early in the month, you can try to, get something for later, but this is a presentation that you can do all year round, right? We have
Right.
advisors who are doing this 3, 4, 5 times a year. So just thinking about getting this on the schedule for some time in the next few months, I think is a really good move.
Yeah, Devin, I just want to comment on a couple things. One, going back to the article reprint, the HSAs and Medicare is an issue that catches people off guard. I'm sure many of you advisors out there are aware of that, but it is a great and eye-opening piece for you to take on board for your own analysis and also to be able to share with your clients there because people don't like giving up that HSA, but also they, sometimes they need to sign up for Medicare. So it's a trade-off and can create situations where people need to be more strategic about when and how they go about claiming Social Security and Medicare and keeping or not losing their HSA access, or not their access, but their ability to continue to contribute. And then the other point I wanted to make is, of course, we are in a period right now called peak 65. It's the tail end of the baby boom. They were almost 12,000 babies per day. And so the demand for people wanting Social Security knowledge and Medicare knowledge is absolutely higher than ever. And it's going to continue to be this way, I think, through to 2026. So even though this is a trend in our industry that's been going on since 2008, like Devin was saying, it still draws a lot of people. And if you haven't brought on board Social Security as part of your approach to educating your clients and prospects, still plenty of time to do it. And by the way, the Gen Xers are coming along soon. And yes, they're not as big as the baby boom, but there's still plenty of them out there. And they're going to be more interested in in Social Security than ever before, I think, because they're slightly more undersaved compared to boomers and will be wanting to really know how to, optimize their retirement income, and so making smart decisions about Social Security will be important to them as well. So, all right, Devin, shall we move on?
Yep. So looking at May, our theme is retirement planning, and a reprint for the month is developing a realizable vision for retirement. I love this reprint. I think it's one of the great ones to be sending out because it talks about, and I'm sure many of you have clients who fit into this mold, where they retire without maybe thinking about what they want their retirement to fully look like. And then they're retired and all of a sudden they feel like they're missing, key parts of their life because they didn't necessarily realize that they're going to miss like the social aspect of working or the feeling of being fulfilled through their work or things like that. So this reprint is a great thing to send to kind of pre-retirees, people who haven't retired yet but are thinking about it in the next few years, to really think about what they want to do in retirement, what's important to them now, and how they can, with your help, plan for this totally new stage of life, not only from a financial standpoint, but from, their emotional well-being and mental well-being too. So I think this is a great piece to send out to help people start thinking about how they want to spend their time, where they want to live, what are their priorities, especially thinking about the different stages of retirement, right? When they're just retired and they're, have the ability to travel and do those things. What do they want those years to look like as opposed to what are their kind of their goals for later in life when they might not have as much mobility or might need some long-term care. So these are important conversations to have before retirement. So your clients don't have this kind of identity crisis when they retire and don't know how to fulfill their lives anymore. So I think this is a great piece to send out to your list to just start those conversations.
Yeah, and I think it's a great thing to be talking to your clients about. I don't think advisors have done enough of it in the past. And, I've seen a number of studies looking at this that the notion of financial security, what does financial security really means? It means being able to live the good life in retirement or live the full life. And so the question becomes, the client, how do I achieve being able to live the good life in retirement? And the answer from you, the advisor, relates to like three different gateways that you lead clients through over the years. And so those three gateways are essentially making smart and responsible decisions. That's what you, the advisor, are helping your clients do. That's part of your value proposition, helping them with the smart and responsible decisions. And those decisions, some aspect of it needs to also be framed up in terms of helping the client be safe and secure. Safe and secure means, a lot of things. It means different things to people, but basically it's a framework for understanding how we're making decisions as we pass through our adult life, our investing, our planning, our investments, particularly as we start to move into retirement, decisions we may make about, guaranteed income as part of the retirement income plan, where you got something that's guaranteed from Social Security, you got your RMDs, and some people want to bring in annuities in there as well. But it's when people can live the good life, the full life, particularly if they don't have to worry about these kinds of where's the monthly paycheck coming from in retirement. So you've got smart and responsible decisions guided by, being principles of being safe and secure. And the other aspect of it is that you want your clients to be optimistic and proud about what they've done. They've been working with you for years. They have every good reason to be proud of what they've done, socking money away in the 401, paying off the house, sending the kids to college. And so it's those three things. And advisors, I don't think often take enough time to compliment their clients about what they have achieved. We often want to look at their portfolios, especially if they're new, and identify, you know, the red flags or the bad things that make us look like a genius in helping them out. And that's important too. But it is important to stroke people and give them reasons to be proud of what they have achieved up to this point. And it's all those three things that come together that I think, create a sort of, an emotional vision of, yes, this is where we're going. This is, my advisor is helping us get there. We want this full life in retirement. We want the good life in retirement. And we can achieve this sense of going into retirement, being financially secure by using that kind of framework for our decisions. So I'll stop my rant there, Devin, and we'll move on.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I mean, I know many people who have retired in the past year who have all gone back to work part-time because they feel like they're kind of missing, and not even for the money, just like they're missing that aspect of their life. So it's important to be thinking about before
Yeah.
retirement and to have a trusted professional that can help guide them through what this is going to look like and what makes sense for them. So I think it's a really important topic. But going back to our calendar, the looking ahead to May, that's the reprint about developing this vision for retirement. And then our presentation that we recommend pairing with that is the Savvy IRA for Boomers presentation, really talking about these different retirement accounts that, people have accumulated during their working life and how that's going to play into what their retirement, paycheck looks like essentially. So that's a great workshop to get on the schedule for May.
Another good one. Another good one for sure. All right. So we move on to part three, Devin, right?
Yep. That's our member questions. So the first question this month is, how can I more successfully connect with CPAs?
Right. So I'll take that one. And, you know, I've been in this business 23 years. And when I first started in 1999, I came upon this issue very early on because, I was learning about referrals and, other than client referrals, a lot of advisors want to, lean into developing relationships with CPAs because they have, amazing transparency into other people's finances and can recognize when there may be somebody who could use some financial planning or some investment advice. And so advisors have been focused on CPAs for a long time. We, of course, developed our advisor CPA program that gives recognizing that taking people to lunch, saying, hey, what kind of referral relationship can we do or have or develop over time? It's okay, but not so great. And so we have built the program around educating CPAs. That's why we have Advisor CPA. It's a program that's available to our master members and people who are an advisor client as well. And that gives you the ability to educate CPAs and award them CPE credits along a whole range of topics from tax planning, IRA, Social Security, Medicare, generational planning, I'm sure I'm missing one or two others in there, cybersecurity. And so, of course, the CPAs appreciate this, and it is a good way for you to be able to demonstrate in action. You're standing up in front of other CPAs and you're teaching them, you're giving them continuing education and then awarding them the credits. And so that is a great way for CPAs to see you in action. It's different than trying to establish a referral relationship over a meal, which, still has its value. But the one other thing I wanted to mention is that this is something I learned right off the bat back in 1999. It was a fantastic idea, and I would just want to recommend it to any advisor out there. There was an advisor who, when I was asking him about this, said, "You know what I do to cultivate my relationships with my CPAs? Well, I don't bother them in April. I don't bother them in May. But around June, things have finally slowed down with extensions and so on and so forth. And I throw a big barbecue pig picking for all the CPAs in my area. And I do it every year. And we have a great time. And they all come out. They appreciate it. They feel less stressed. And, it's usually on a sunny day in June. And we're able to have a beer and stand around the pig and, just have a good time. And of course, it wouldn't have to be, you don't have to have a pig picking. You can do something else, but have a sort of, you know, kind of a relaxed party situation for the CPAs in your area that you sponsor. You invite them over, and that's just a great way to connect with them. So I never pass up the opportunity to mention that when we're talking about how can we develop better relationships with CPAs. So that's my answer to that question. And Devin, I know question number 2 is, how do you suggest a solo practitioner RIA use YouTube to build their practice?
I think YouTube is a great area for advisors to be looking. We often forget that it is technically a social media platform, right? We usually don't group it in there, but it is. And it's overlooked as a place for advisors to be. And it's different from the other social media platforms we think of, because when we think of LinkedIn and Facebook, those news feeds are chronological. So the algorithm is showing you more recent posts. It's more difficult to really search for specialized content on those sites. You're kind of just seeing what people post. However, YouTube is more like Google, where you can search for specific questions that you have and find videos that are most relevant to that question rather than viewing things in a chronological order. So there's a huge opportunity, especially for those advisors who really do believe in the power of education, to build a following on YouTube, because you can just do these short educational videos where you're talking about different financial topics. You're thinking about the questions that you most get from clients and prospects and doing these short, they don't have to be longer than 2 minute, 2 to 5 minute videos, answering those questions and kind of creating a whole channel about that. Now, of course, there's more to just, recording and posting, videos. You have to think strategically about including certain keywords in your title, in the description of the video, having, thumbnails that are somewhat eye-catching so people can click through, thinking about where you're going to share those videos outside of YouTube, so on your website, on social media, to kind of link back there. But you can really establish yourself as a, kind of financial go-to expert on YouTube, and there's still not that many advisors doing it. So I think there's still kind of an open space for you to come in and be able to do that. Of course, with compliance departments, you have to make sure you're following those rules there. But I think if you really focus on education and then kind of do a little DIY learning on keywords and how that works on YouTube and all of that, you can be really successful there, thinking about, answering questions that, your ideal clients have.
Yeah, for sure. Good. So that covers the questions. I see we have a question in the chat from David Tuck. And David, if you want to come off mute, I think we can do that. Can we do that here, Doug?
Yep. Yeah, everybody can unmute themselves.
So David was asking, do we have any materials relating to Main Street retirement strategies instead of relying on the Wall Street Social Security or other retirement? So David, I'm not really sure what you're getting at there relating to Main Street. You want to come on and
Yeah,
include
man, I
us?
work with a lot of business owners.
Yeah.
And so, they got investment properties, they've got all these things that they're doing that is alternative than
You just went, we just lost your audio. I think I hear what you're saying.
Sorry.
There's different asset classes beyond the
Right,
traditional
right.
stuff.
Yeah. And so, they've got real estate, they've got crypto, they've got all these things that are not, the traditional RA model, right? And so they're building their business like 80% of the value of most entrepreneurs is in their business, and they won't sell, right? They
Yeah.
won't sell. Only 30% of people that go to market sell. And so it's like, boy, so it's like, hey, diversification, exit planning type stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, one thing that comes to mind, there was a great group of advisors in Minnesota, and what they did was every year they got together with, I think, with like a CPA and a couple of other business consultants, and they held a round table for the types of business owners in their community that you were just discussing. And it would be like a 3-hour thing catered with lunch or breakfast. And they would be really digging in deeply to the kinds of issues that you're raising here, where people's net worth is bound up in some of these other less liquid assets, or they're getting, or just the whole thing about thinking about what does it take to have that, to exit your company and have that liquidity event. What do they need to be thinking in terms of future planning? And it's been a while since I've looked at that material, but hopefully you can get a sense of where I'm going. They found it very successful. People really appreciate having that kind of conversation. So they're not in there talking about optimizing your Social Security claiming strategy or anything like that. They're really looking at, the sale of your business and how it's financed and what are the tax consequences and how does that flow through to your estate and other issues. And so that would be one thing I could refer you to, and would be happy to talk with you more about that sometime as well. So,
Cool. Thanks.
all right. Okay, Devin, well, I think we're done. Any other questions out there? Sean Lorenz, it looks to me like you're in Las Vegas again. You are. I love, what is it you do? Like you treat yourself to Las Vegas like 3 or 4 times a year. Is that right?
No. Well, Cube, this is an intentional remote week. And so
Intentional
I've
remote.
heard once a quarter, and I stay at the Cosmos, and my view is, lovely looking at the fountain. And I'm forced to do what I'm supposed to do, because if I was at home, I'd rather clean house. If I was at the office, I'd be distracted. But now I built in. So January, I went to Hilton Head for a week. February, I went to Myrtle Beach. Now I'm here. And so I'm trying to be gone a week, a month, and I'm able to Zoom 30 clients in a week. And I'm trying to get rid of the 50 hours a month that I'm on the road. I'm trying to better use my time there. So anyway, it's becoming part of my brand. Some people, they're like, where are you this week now? Where are you this week? So they're being somewhere different. So thanks for noticing. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you're talking to somebody who worked from Mexico for the month of February. So I sort of know
Oh,
that, but
yeah.
listen, we just had an awful month of March here, and now April's turning out to be like March, and it's like, get me the hell out of here. I want to go to someplace warm.
I'm really learning that women, my best clients, women age probably 55 and older, a lot of them are hoarders, and that could be in a good way or a bad way. They don't want me to come over. They're afraid I might use their bathroom or, something like that. So this way they are very forthcoming in their talking. And then when I come to see you, then I'll have all my stuff together and won't waste hours and hours or 3 trips back and forth. So you're never too old to learn something new.
All right. Well, your intentional months. I love the idea. So,
Thank you.
all right, everybody. Thanks so much. We'll see you all